Hi, everyone. Welcome to the GreenStream. This is Felina Farley, National Black Caucus co-chair of the Green Party. And I have with me Margaret Elizabeth.
Hi, Felina. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. I am one of the co-chairs of the National Lavender Green Caucus. And I want to, before we get into our program tonight, before we talk to the amazing candidates we have with us, I just want to give a shout out to our media committee and our coordinated campaign committee for putting this together, for making sure that we're getting candidates to interview and give a chance to present to you at events like tonight.
Thank you. And for all the ones that like to celebrate weird quickie days, today is National Candy Corn Day, the day before Halloween. So for all of you that like candy corn or hate candy corn, this is the day to express your feelings. And then we're going to have some candidates come up today to give about their platform. We only have a few days left into our election. So we want to give some of our Black and Lavender Caucus members of the Green Party that are running for office a chance to get their voices out.
Very much so. Many times, if you're a Green running for office, you've probably experienced a lack of media coverage in any way whatsoever. And especially if you're in a minority group, that lack of coverage might even be worse. So we're really grateful to have a chance like this to elevate voices within the Green Party and let you, the viewers, hear different perspectives from within the Greens, why we're Greens, why we run within the party, why we're advocating inside the Green Party itself. If you'd like to help the Green Party just in a general way, you can go to our website, gp.org/donate, and you can make a fantastic donation there. Of course, we're a grassroots party. We run on donations from individuals like yourself. If you'd like to help individual candidates or find out more about running as a candidate yourself in the next election cycle, because we run every year, you can go to gp.org/run. And I'm actually one of those people who really does love candy corn. I don't know why, but I just found out the other day they have more than one flavor. So this is going to be a fun Halloween for me.
Yes, and for the people that hate candy corn, it's kind of funny to me because I grew up eating candy corn with salted peanuts. And eating candy corn with salted peanuts tastes like a payday. So I didn't understand the whole hate of candy corns because I never ate them like by themselves. I always ate them with peanuts and plain M&Ms to make it taste like a Baby Ruth. It was just a mixed thing for me. So I guess I have a whole different view of candy corn hate or love. I don't know.
It's very nostalgic for me, no doubt about it. It reminds me of, like, I guess a lot of things, nostalgia just brings back this sort of innocent time and perspective. But yeah, I'm a big fan of them.
All right. So the first candidate we have coming up is coming from Illinois. Shabu is running for a congressional seat in Illinois, and she's going to come up and introduce herself. Hi. Welcome.
Hi, Felina. Thank you for
Welcome to our
having me. Hi,
green
Felina.
stream. Thank you. So we met for the first time at the DNC protest in Chicago. So it was great that we've connected. I was so happy. I was getting kind of depressed because I wasn't running into my green homies. And I found you. Like, what a relief.
Yeah, shout out to Ariel for making sure that we got connected.
All right. Give me 1 second.
Yeah. Hey everyone, thank you again, Felina and the National Black Caucus for having me here on today's Talk About My Candidacy. Again, my name is Chibu Eselnier. I am in Central Illinois, Central Southern Illinois, and I'm a writing candidate for Illinois District 13, which includes Urbana-Champaign, Savoy, Decatur, down to the Metro East and Edwardsville area. Okay.
All right. So tell us what are some of the issues you want to be addressed specifically in your area as running as a green.
Yes, there are two very core concerns from a community level. The first one is the grassroots effort for reparations in our community, taking from our current leaders, uh, State Representative Carol Amons, and the First Followers, which are two organizations that are focused on gaining reparations for the Urbana-Champaign community. Uh, and it's been in the national conversation, like more, and that is something that I kind of want to bring forth. The idea of reparations, and so maybe a check and something else in Congress. Congress's job is to relieve the working class, relieving the Black American class, the American sense of safe class of our communities will ultimately support and help all other people. And so, student loan forgiveness for African American folks, uh, that include reparations would look like student loan forgiveness, Medicare for all, including dental, and ensuring like proper water infrastructure is being used. I'm an anti-war candidate. I don't believe in wasting money on war, really. I think it's a waste. I would rather use that money to directly, dollar for dollar, take it away from the military and move it into like Flint, Michigan, because there's current issues in our communities, not just in Illinois, but that are across the Midwest per se, that Congress could intervene on, but they're not doing that. And so those are because reparations is such a big conversation point in my community right now, and it has been for several years now. I'm seeing the tangible solutions of what that looks like in practice from what like a congressional level. So that's one. And then healthcare for all has been really important in my larger community. The access to reproductive health care is very much on top of mind as one of people's first and main issues if they were single issue voters. And in our community, there is some like back and forth between reproductive health and ensuring like Black maternity health, ensuring that we have universal health care and dental care for our Black mothers and our Black family. Caregivers, and people who are having these children, if we actually create these social services and the social safety net for Black people in our community, it will end up caring for all of us, and it will ensure that we're focusing on the folks who've been the hardest dealt and who've done the most labor for our community. And so those are the two things that have been the fore focus this past month.
Thank you. I know that reparations and the Black agenda has been not at the forefront for the two major party candidates, and we're the only party that's actually addressing this issue with all of our candidates that have the power to address this issue. I always remind people that not every candidate for the Green Party is in a position to even address this issue versus, you know, legislative positions. So it's great that we have a lot of Black candidates that are running for legislative positions that want to actually address reparations. There has been some debate on the local level of reparations versus the national level of reparations, but we feel as though that just like um, marijuana, it has to be approached on both sides, and then eventually it reaches the local level. If you want to have any feedback on that, that would be great because, there's been a debate on uh, reparations starting at local versus national.
In Illinois, Evanston, Illinois, actually put forth a reparations like law that targeted particular community members who've been there for generations a and had a direct line with the American sense of slaves with the wrongdoing of the city of Evanston, Illinois. And those are things that we really want to ex like e- expound upon across Illinois because that's currently what's happening. Just a natural effort within Illinois, and because I'm seeing how successful it is and how meaningful it is, and the tangibles that are being produced, I know that if we continue this template and expound upon it on a national level, it'll be more streamlined. It'd probably be more cost effective, and it would also stop. I think issues that are happening right now. So there's a lot there's multiple things that I can think about. Environmental racism is something that has been in the forefront of our community. Environmental racism, uh, I think, well, that's the first one I'm really thinking about. And if we are trying to get clean air and clean water, we have to make sure that the communities that end up being the hardest hit are first to be targeted, are first to be so like to have that solution rather than what ends up happening is we start from wealthy folks so it's easier to fix and go down. I think when we center reparations, when we center American slaves, when we center Black people in our like in the center of our holistic change in our and how we move our government, so many other issues will then be solved because you're caring for the people who actually need it the most. And I like the Green Party because of that. I I see myself as an idealistic person, and I see myself as enthusiastic for the future. And the Green Party holds that with me, rather than telling me and shaming me for wanting something different. Uh, Getting a tangible solution, getting feeling like there's some kind of change. I've only felt that within the Green Party, and I'm really happy that I found my home here and in the Black Caucus.
Yes, thank you so much for that because that is one of the major things we have a problem with um, our platform is that when some reason when Democrats are running things, the issues get suppressed even more, and there's less of a fight, and that worries us because we don't get our issues addressed. It becomes like a trendy thing, and then it goes away, like our
Mhm.
Green New Deal. It becomes a trend, and then it fades away. Or reparations. We're trying to bring back lineage-based reparations and our Black agenda that still incorporates everybody. So, and how we're different, and how our immigration policy is different, and how we don't want to be the ones forcing people to leave their home countries that they don't even want to. Um, it's a lot. It's a lot, but we are catching up, or I would say our voters are catching up to us. So there's
That
hope
part.
because that is what's happening. We're seeing the general public finally catching up to us, and that's the best thing that can happen in these dire times. So,
Hope perseveres 100%.
thank you so much. All right. So, next we have Renard Brown coming up next. Give us one moment. All right. There you go. Hey, Renard.
Hi,
How you doing?
doing okay.
How do you feel about candy corn?
I don't like it, but it's interesting. Well, if there's more flavors, then I'll eat it. But there
Well,
was
I
no
always try
flavor.
to tell people if you like a payday, try it with the salted peanuts because just eating it by itself is not really, that's not the best way. And my auntie used to mix them with salted peanuts and plain M&Ms. So you know what that tastes like? A baby Ruth.
Mm.
So just it's just think of candy corns as you just eating a nugget by itself. You need a little bit more. So try a little bit more with it.
I'm
That's
good.
my advice. Go ahead and introduce yourself, Renard.
Um, I'm Renard Brown, running for the council seat in my district in the city of Baltimore. And I'm mainly running on three things. Actually, I got a late thing from the Baltimore Brew. They wanted me to they asked me why candidates should vote for me, so that can go into 3 points of my campaign, which is basically uh, the city of Baltimore has been one party Democratic rule for the past 80 years. Um, and I would say in about the past 20 years, the city has, there have been some indictments, a few mayors, some people from the General Assembly. So uh, the reason why I am running is because one, um, the legislature passed this funding formula for the entire state of Maryland. It's called the Blueprint, and it's a lot of money. Actually, Baltimore is number fourth payest um, pupil per student, yet uh, the success rate is not matching the dollar amount. So I want to bring some accountability and look, really into that. And also, by the way, I'm an educator. I've substitute for many years, and I've tried my hand at teaching. And actually, there's a ongoing issue with that that I won't talk about. Another thing is housing. I think Baltimore City has the most vacant. I mean, you, you see what's going on in Gaza and in different places of the world, but you know, we have a serious vacant property that hasn't been um, tackled, but the governor, the mayor is trying to work towards getting less vacants. My councilwoman that I'm running against has done a lot with housing and um, to include a bill for inclusionary housing. So I want to continue that work in my district. And lastly, um, 74% of employment is at will. Basically, it's voluntary. You get fired, there's no due process. Um, and the state of Montana is the only state in the entire country. They have a wrongful disclosure act. I've been working on this issue for 7 years. I have a change.org petition working on this issue. I at one point I went to my legislators, which uh, I need to go back and revisit that. But I want to continue with whatever happens with the election happens, but I want to really continue being focused on policy things that needs to happen.
Yes, and that's one of the things that um we try to also focus on when it comes to our candidacies. It's not just about winning, it's about the issues that we're running on, and sometimes we have the power based on our candidacies alone to get those issues addressed at those local levels and those local elections. I've seen it happen, city council seats, I've seen it happen mayor seats. I've seen us push, when they say push to the left, I've seen it happen locally. Locally, we've seemed to achieve that. We get more of local organizations running for or campaigning or advocacies for ranked choice voting and Medicare for all. And it's just all the advocacies we want, we push people to do it. And it's worth it when we actually still push the issues and the advocacy forward because we give people hope with our campaigns that it can actually be done. So thank you so much for that because I hear that echoed so much when it comes to, when it's not about winning, it's when it's really about the people in our communities, and that anarchist mutual aid comes out and it's all about what we can do locally. That is our driver. All right. So just to let everybody know, we did do a Twitter space on Immigration Day on Monday. And the controversy reason why we did the Twitter space for the Black Caucus is because Immigration Day is supposed to commemorate the Statue of Liberty. And most of us historically know that the Statue of Liberty was um, honoring the abolishment of slavery. It was not about immigration. There were many people that talk about the original pictures and a frame of it with the chains at her feet and breaking those chains. And so, and then Ronald Reagan, of course, since they say the Green Party doesn't speak enough against the Republicans, it was Ronald Reagan that initiated this Immigration Day for the Statue of Liberty, which is, historically, which Butch Ware has brought up as well, when it comes to the whitewashing of our history, it was supposed to be about abolishing slavery and not immigration. So please check that out on our Twitter page because I think it's an interesting conversation we had with our VP candidate. So please check that out if you haven't seen that recording that was done Monday on Immigration Day in honor of the Statue of Liberty. Did any of one of you want to make a comment on that? Because, some people say, it's a different time, it's a different place. There's no such thing as whitewashing, but here it is. We're still dealing with this Immigration Day for the Statue of Liberty.
Did want to say that in Illinois, particularly in the Chicagoland area, there is a sentiment or a slightly growing sentiment of irritation towards immigrants who are coming in, particularly like the plethora of migrants and stuff and the whole spectrum. And I believe that once again, centering our Black Americans as substantive slaves will ensure that our funds are being used properly and for us. And when we care for ourselves, we're able to hold other folks who are in distress or in need, which is also part of why it's important for the United States to not get involved and sanction countries unnecessarily.
Great. I know because we're pretty much the perpetuators in this migration. What about you, Renard?
I don't have much to say on the issue other than, it's kind of like the 4th of July issue versus for us, Juneteenth is the day that we celebrate um, being free, in America. So,
Yeah, and like I said, there um hopefully we'll get a little bit more pushback on that, and the true history of the Statue of Liberty should not necessarily be connected to immigration like Ronald Reagan has put forth. And when it comes to the attack, we don't attack the Republicans enough, but here it is in our face that they whitewash a lot of our history. We need to talk about that more. So I'm glad we were able to open up that space to unpack that, because a lot of people didn't even know Monday was Immigration Day. So, and its connection to the Statue of Liberty was just insulting out the gate, and they, had no idea. So please check out that recording. So, about your candidacy, what is your outlook right now and coming up for Tuesday? What do you see moving forward? God, we'll start with you, Shabu.
Awesome. I'm a write-in candidate. I'm an anti-war candidate. And in Illinois, they have gerrymandered our district to be D plus, so Democratic +4, so really Dem leaning. I believe that every single vote for myself is a vote for change, is about something different, and it's a vote for true democracy. It is frustrating to see the kind of lawfare that the major two parties will do, particularly the Democratic Party here in Illinois. However, we will persevere and we won't go away. And that's a huge consolation for me this year. The connections I've built, the want in my community, and the fire and the willingness to accept something different.
Thank you, because the amount of money that's being spent is ridiculous. Here in Ohio, the Democratic Party spent $500,000 to get the Libertarians back on the ballot here in Ohio, just so they can be spoiler candidates for the Republicans.
Mm-hmm.
It makes no sense. Go ahead, Bernard. Well, what is your future looking at after November 5th?
Again, like I said, I want to really, as much as possible, get into some policies, get in place, and I'll keep running every 2 years. Last election, I ran for a delegate seat in the legislature, and I'll probably now in a new district run there. Considering in 2028 running for mayor. So that's what I'm planning to do.
All right. That's what we want. Just keep moving forward. Just keep moving forward. And that's it for our segment. Next is coming up is the Lavender Caucus.
Thank you.
Hi.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Margaret Elizabeth. I am one of the co-chairs from the National Lavender Green Caucus. We were just joined by the National Lavender Black Caucus, or the National Black Caucus, and several of their fantastic candidates. And I'm happy to be here tonight with two of our candidates who are, well, one of them has already been elected. We'll get into that in just a minute. But one of them is, of course, standing for mayor. And we're going to have to go in order because that's just the way it is with things. We can't have total chaos during our discussion. I want to just touch on a few things before we get into our discussion with our candidates. Number one, again, thank you very much to the Media Committee and the Coordinated Campaign Committee for putting on this event and other events like this, which have taken place over the previous 2 months or so, and will be continuing to do so as we go forward in the future. We like to feature our candidates and make sure people have a chance to know what we're all about. Number two, I'm going to, again, we'll have a chance for you to reach out and help the Green Party directly. gp.org/donate, and that's a fantastic place for you to be able to go and help us expand our efforts throughout the country to provide the sort of third-party initiatives that you're looking for as a leftist in the United States. Presumably that's who you are if you're watching this. So I don't want to take too much of your time in the preamble. I want to let you know that tonight we have with us, let me point to my hands. Okay, up here. Hi, Rachel. This is Rachel. Rachel will be joining us and talking about a fantastic candidacy taking place in Minnesota. And over here to my other side here is Harry Aksha. Hi, Harry Aksha. And Harry Aksha will be joining us and talking about a fantastic campaign in Arizona. So that is going to be a pretty disparate kind of perspective in terms of Green Party stuff. And if you were all paying attention on social media, you're probably aware that those two states are battleground states in this current election. So we're going to go ahead and talk with Rachel right now, and we'll talk to you again in just a moment, Harry Aksha. Okay, so I'm going to do a quick introduction here for you, Rachel, and please let me know if I get any of it wrong. So thank you, everyone. Hold on, let me do introduction glasses. Okay. Rachel was raised in a small town in southwest North Dakota and left school early after earning her GED. Rachel attended North Dakota State University in Fargo and earned a bachelor's in psychology before attending St. Cloud University to earn a master's degree in community counseling. After learning how to make candles from reusable wax to growing a garden in 1999, Rachel's been a long-time environmentalist. More recently, in her involvement with the Women of Today, Rachel wrote a monthly newsletter called Echo Minute to help inform members of environmental issues and actions they can take to help improve their impact on the environment. She's also explained and encouraged composting in that particular organization as well. Rachel's had a hand in training through the Mississippi National River and Recreation Area and how to lead habitat restoration groups. And as a member of the Environmental Quality Commission, has hosted a volunteer habitat restoration program in 2022 in Bassett Creek Park. And in 2023, Hagermeister Pond Nature Area. So I was going to add restoration there, but that's later on. You're restoring it, you're doing the thing. So through Rachel's efforts, the Volunteer Habitat Restoration Program has received funding through Hennepin County and also from the Minnesota Women of Today's Foundation. From those grants, thousands of dollars have been allocated towards tools and consultation with habitat restoration and for all of Crystal's nature areas. And Rachel is running for the mayor of Crystal, Minnesota. Thank you for joining us tonight, Rachel.
Thanks, Margaret. I couldn't have said it better myself. And actually, the hardest part of these interviews is when I have to talk about myself. So I really appreciate you going over that for me.
Oh, you're welcome.
Comprehensive. I have been a long time environmentalist. I've been anti-war also for over 20 years. Actively, protesting wars, and I am bringing climate solutions to the burbs. And so, yeah, I've been in the Environmental Quality Commission. It was put on pause for the year of 2024. And they were gonna shut it down, but I organized a bunch of speakers to come to the council meeting when they were going to be discussing it, and convince them instead to revamp it. So they decided to put it on pause for 2024, and now it's called the Sustainability Commission instead of the Environmental Quality Commission, and it has more specific, really clear statement about what it's supposed to be for. We are a Green Steps city. Crystal, Minnesota is a Green Steps city, which means when you sign up to be a Green Step city, you're supposed to have the intention of taking these steps to be more eco-friendly, to be planning for a different kind of climate and reducing the city's carbon footprint and the Green Steps program has very specific, things that you can do to earn points. And then when you earn those points, you can then get up a step, and there's 5 steps, and we're on step 2. And when we applied to get into the Green Steps program, we were accepted at step 2. So we haven't taken any steps, and it's been 10 years. So I actually think of Crystal as kind of like a fixer-upper in some ways. And I bought my house. My house is a fixer-upper too. So I actually like that kind of thing. So I'm just feeling so optimistic, and I feel like I have a lot of good work that I can accomplish here, and yeah, I don't know if you want me to go into specific policies.
Actually, I have a whole set of things I want to talk to you about noting that we have sort of a limited time here. So this isn't our first time we've had a chance to have a conversation. And the last time we spoke, I was talking to you about like what brought you into joining the Green Party in an electoral sense. Like it's different than being an activist or working in environmentalism. Why did you decide to get involved with electoral politics, especially when there are many people who would say to you that, well, voting is a waste of time. Like, why would I even do it?
So we have a joke we tell in the Minnesota Green Party, which is in order to join the Green Party, you first have to be an activist. And in order to stay in the Green Party, you have to run. There are a few of us who have never ran, but there aren't very many. But no, I believe in democracy. Personally, I think it's a grand experiment that's worthy of time and effort. I think, I think it takes a special kind of politician to bring people in to politics, and I kind of pride myself at being a person locally who I think is doing that. When I talk to people at the door, I say 3 things. I say I want to save us money, I want to do better by the environment, and I'm friendly, and I think the mayor should be friendly. And if you ever have something you want to tell the council, now that we've had a conversation and you've seen my face and you can see that I'm friendly, I hope you won't be shy. So
Well, that's very much the grassroots approach to like
right.
from green politics, right?
Yeah.
So you were mentioning, that your city joined as like step 2 on the Green Steps program, and you
Right.
haven't made any like subsequent steps there. So I
No.
wondered, like, of course, we are all quite aware of the massive impact that climate catastrophe is having, and it is going to just be so unbelievable what's coming, almost beyond our description. And I know each city and municipality is taking their own steps to sort of prepare for that.
Mhm.
Is the Green Steps program part of what Crystal is doing? And if so, if you're elected as mayor, what power would you have to like make the city take the next step?
Yeah, so I think as mayor, I would have the opportunity to work closely with the new commission, the new, what's it called? The Sustainability Commission. Um, and it is written in their mission statement that to propose ideas to the city council and recommend steps that are, affordable and reasonable, and actually get us to taking these steps. And I would just be an enthusiastic vote. In Crystal, we have what's called a weak mayor system, which means that as mayor, you're representing the entire city, but you only get one vote, just like everybody else. Although mayor does have some other special kinds of responsibilities, leading the meeting, for instance. Um, yeah. Uh, and working with emergency personnel in times of emergencies.
That makes sense. So I think you were listening to the conversation that was being had earlier and mentioning Ronald Reagan, which, of course, if you're a queer person, that person's like mentioning, like a demon on wheels. We're all quite aware that during his administration, they understood what HIV and AIDS was, and they withheld that information purposefully. And if you're not aware of your queer history, this is why in the United States the overall community stopped referring to itself as the GLBT community and it became the LGBT community, because so many lesbians took up the care of all of these gay men who were left to die in hospices and hospitals all on their own. It was a transformative moment in our entire community. And of course, in Minnesota, has been for my entire life a bastion of queer rights, and one of the very first transgender protection laws in the United States was signed in Minnesota. And so it's always been a very strong place to stand for equality for queer folks. Have you found, as running there as a queer person, do you get a lot of like positive feedback for that? Do you feel like there's any negativity, especially with the sort of culture war that's going on about these issues in our society now?
Yeah, so I actually have my primary literature with me to show you. Um, and so on the back, this is the back of it. So people could clearly see what I was about, um, really easily. So if someone had something against that, they would know right away, maybe Rachel isn't, my person. But for other people, they saw that, and they thought automatically, oh, Rachel might very well be my person. So I wanted to be super outward. I wanted people to know that I am a person, I am an ally, and at least an ally, if not actually, in the group myself. Um, and I'm not super outward about being queer in Crystal. But I have this on here, so at least people know that I'm an ally. And so I haven't necessarily announced during my regular interviews and whatnot, that I'm queer. But for people who are tuned into it, you can look at me and kind of see that I'm queer, but like other people are like, but you've got all the body parts for a woman. So like, whatever, you know. But it's just kind of, it's interesting because it's just who I am. But yeah, a lot of my friends have been queer, and I used to be called a fag hag, and that's a loving term for people who don't know, um, and um, and I'm looking forward to working closely with the Diversity Commission. We still haven't declared Pride in Crystal. yet. And it's primarily because of our current mayor who basically shut down the conversation before it could even start. So, yeah.
Well, then let's get you elected as mayor.
What's that?
So we need to get you elected as mayor so you can get back on the steps, the Green Steps program, and also get a pride celebration there. Okay, so Rachel, I think we've kind of run to the end of our little segment here. I'm going to ask you to, if you could sum up like the heart of your campaign, what would you think that, how would you do so?
Well, let's see. My name's Rachel. I'm running for mayor of Crystal, Minnesota. I want to save us money. I want to do better by the environment. And I am friendly. And I believe that a mayor ought to be friendly to everybody, no matter what you look like, no matter who you love, no matter who you worship or how you worship, or whether or not you have a house.
Right on. Thank you very much, Rachel. If you'd like to support Rachel's campaign directly, you can go to rachelformayor.org, and you'll find information there about the campaign currently. You can, of course, donate to help the campaign and volunteer. Volunteering is super important for grassroots campaigns. That's almost more important than your money. Well, I mean, money's important, but don't get me wrong about that. But it is important to volunteer because your time is worth money, and it's very, very important to do phone banking and knocking on doors to get the word out about this kind of stuff. Of course, I want to again just shout out our main gp.org/donate link, which hopefully you're seeing on the screen somehow through the magic of producers. I don't know. I'm just on this side of the camera. There's someone else doing magic-y stuff with keyboards. So maybe that's on the screen. You can see it. You can visit that. And of course, the other candidates who have been here tonight have links as well that you'll be able to have visited. Hopefully you have, to support their campaigns either through direct donations or volunteer efforts as well. Thank you very much, Rachel, for joining us tonight. And I hope that the next time we have a chance to talk, I will be talking to the very next mayor of Crystal, Minnesota.
Thanks, Margaret. I'll see you next time.
Thank you very much. Okay, so thank you all for being here for that segment. We'll have, I think, maybe a small break before we have our final guest, Harry Knauer from Arizona, which I think will be an interesting conversation, and hopefully you'll all be here for it. So give us one. Okay, thank you all. That was a very quick break, so hopefully you had a chance to do your break and get back really quick. So we're joined now from Arizona by Harry Knauer, and this is an interesting situation that we have here. As I mentioned at the top of the program, we're going to be talking to 3 people who are running for office and 1 person who's already won. Now you might be thinking, how can somebody have already won the election which hasn't even happened yet? This is one of those interesting things in our country that I hope people really pay attention to, and I wish more people understood and knew about. But there are many elections, about 80%, which are uncontested. Literally nobody is running. If you put your name in it, you will win. So Harry Aksha has been a registered Green since 1998. He is an alternate delegate right now for the Lavender Caucus to the GPUS National Committee. He lives in northern Arizona and has run for elected office 5 times as a Green candidate. This year, he was appointed to fill a vacant seat representing the city of Williams, Arizona, on the CTE Governing Board. That's the Career and Technical Education Governing Board, which is also known, and stay with me, this is gonna be a mouthful. Caveat, that part is fine. The CAVIAT, the Coconino Association for Vocations, Industry, and Technology. In fact, all 9 members running for those seats are running unopposed. So Hammer Auction, every one of the rest of them are now deemed by the county as having been elected. They're going to start their term starting January 2025. So if you're a person right now and you're thinking to yourself, well, I could never win an election, you can. There are many elections where they are simply uncontested. So Harry Aksha, thank you for joining us tonight. I know it is an amazingly wild time in Arizona right now as a battleground state in what is a generation-defining election, I think. You're running again now, right? This is 5 times now, and so I mean, this technically you're running again. So 6 times is a green. That is a lot of running and a lot of being a green in a very public way. So, I want to say, well, it's easy, I guess, to kind of understand why somebody might run a lot for political office. But in the same way that I asked Rachel, what about it has made you decide to run as a green this whole time, especially in the face of like people like the pushback that we would get from obviously the 2 big parties, but people even like, Cinema and who was a green and then switched parties and all the rest. Give us a little bit of perspective on that, please.
Well, thank you, Margaret. Thanks to Scott McCarty and Adam Sundkin for preparing and making this GreenStream happen. And I'm subscribed. Maybe I can encourage everybody else to subscribe to the Green Party videos on YouTube. Getting out there and canvassing for ballot access, statewide ballot access, and also for candidate nominating petitions is a terrific way to meet people on the street who are saying, well, what is the Green Party? We still don't have a total awareness in our communities. And in Williams, just a small town in northern Arizona, for this particular seat on the governing board, the caveat governing board, we only needed 10 signatures. And so on a primary day, way back when, I went to the polling place, and in 2 hours, I was able to get 23 signatures, 10 plus a cushion. And people are so eager to see our elected officials and our Board of Education, a school board, to support vocational training. And that's what Caveat is all about. Vocational industry technology. I went to a big extravaganza in Williams yesterday. A big construction company is partnering with CTE, Career Technical Education Program at Williams, to get students trained in crafts. It was workforce development people who came and signed an agreement, and then we had demonstrations, welding, carpentry, and automotive technology. And a real popular program with the students is big equipment, construction equipment operation. So Williams is a small town and it's diverse, and we have a large percentage of families under the poverty level. So a lot of these students do not go on to college, but this program is to prepare people for anything. If they want to go on to college, this is a good preparation for that too. Now, when I first became green back in Queens, it was I was working or living at a artist, a musician co-op called Philanthropy, Uranian Philanthropy, and we celebrated so on regularly. And as a little bit of follow-up to what Fellini mentioned about Candy Corn Day, well, this is also during the celebration of So On. It's like a 3 or 4 day celebration, harvest, end of harvest, and elfin friendly. It's a pagan celebration, and fairies are big in celebrating So On, feasting and frolicking. I'm
like a good time.
Something of a kid. What's that?
I said it sounds like a good time.
Oh yeah. So happy So On, everybody. When I became green, we were running Grandpa from the Munsters for governor of New York, and we got enough votes, vote test to maintain ballot status back then. But it's really, really tough to get ballot status now once you've lost that um, um, uh, privilege. And so we need to get on the ballot. And this might be a good opportunity to encourage everybody to vote for Jill Stein and her running mate, Dr. Ware.
Well, of course it
In
is. But before we
yeah,
encourage
to
people to
now and
vote for
everything.
them, we're trying to get you to get voted in. But I mean, I guess you're there. Um, okay, so
Oh yeah,
let me
well,
ask you this question. And so you live in a smallish town in northern Arizona. So obviously the impacts of climate change are going to be acutely felt in your community. And what is the general consensus then on the Green Party and like our Green New Deal to sort of address the issues that are impacting the community there?
well, this is one of my responsibilities to bring awareness to that. Most people don't know of the Green Party. Most people are not politically aware, and most everybody I talk to, it doesn't even want to vote. But in this whole business of adaptation and resilience, I got to say, Williams is growing slightly. The student body enrollment in the Unified School District is growing, and it could be in large part because Flagstaff, the nearby city, is getting pricing everybody out of the housing market. And what's driving that? It's a big question, but it could very well be climate refugees, wealthy climate refugees. We're seeing this on the East Coast too, where people who want to go where there's water and security come to these small towns. Well, Flagstaff is sort of like a small town, communities, cities even, and they're demanding all sorts of um, um, amenities that they're used to from their privileged lives, and so they're affecting the communities that way. And in Flagstaff, in particular, just rising up the cost of rent is driving people, out to the edge of town and to neighboring communities.
The rising
So
cost of rent, of course, is a massive concern all across the country. And we're very
yeah,
aware that private corporations are buying, homes and keeping them empty as investment opportunities,
oof.
contributing to both the increase in rent and the housing crisis. There isn't really a lack of homes. There are plenty of them. They're just not available for people at reasonable costs or even at all, because sometimes they're not even, like awful Airbnb situations, but literally just kept empty as investment stuff. So, Harry, actually, I know we're sort of running to the end of our segment here on the program, and you've been engaged in politics for a long time now, all across the country, and you're now in Arizona. And you mentioned, of course, like the privilege of ballot access. And so we're aware, of course, that around the country there have been several lawsuits launched against the Green Party to get us off the ballot or keep our ballots from being counted, or even in some cases throwing our candidates completely off. And it has varied in its success. In many cases, those lawsuits have been completely thrown out, but a few have prevailed. And you have yourself been, as I'm just going to share a little personal knowledge. I know you've been heavily involved in the ballot access effort from a national perspective all around the party for many, many years now. And you've had a chance to see from an insider's point of view many of the things that are going on. And I was just wondering if maybe you could give a little insight to other people who might have no idea about how this goes on, and what the sort of, I want to say, don't want to say dirty trick. That's not exactly correct, but sort of like the underhanded nature of how people are going about this.
Well, it is dirty tricks, it's skullduggery. I mean, this is a dirty, rotten business, and getting signatures is such a good, ballot access signatures is such a good way to meet your constituents, your neighbors, face to face and just let people know that there is a Green Party and a Green Party candidate running. In my case, it's a nonpartisan race, so that wasn't really an issue. But in other states or in other races, like here in Arizona, we have one senatorial candidate who can help us maintain ballot access for another 2 cycles by getting 2% of the vote. And so neither of the Dem or Republican candidates is an attractive candidate for U.S. Senate. Neither one. And there's a possibility that Eduardo Quintana down in Tucson can get that 2%. And then, of course, the Jill Stein and Butch Ware campaign, if they get 2%, that'll maintain ballot access for Arizona. It was because of Dr. Cornel West that we were able to get ballot access in Arizona this cycle. And then that was before he dipped. He was running, seeking our nomination. But then he went on to be an independent, and I think he's not even on the ballot in Arizona. Jill Stein with Butch Ware and Eduardo Quintana are Green Party candidates. So getting signatures is sometimes an insurmountable effort, like in New York, Illinois, Indiana, Nevada now, huge numbers. And getting those signatures is fundamental, just due diligence. And then, of course, there's the court challenges. And in Nevada, we were unsuccessful just because the panel of people deciding were predominantly Dems, 5 Democrats and only 2 Republicans.
It's surprising how often that's the case. The people who are actually going to decide these laws, those are partisan offices by people who have a vested interest in like working against each other, number one, but against third-party efforts altogether. I know we're kind of running very close to the end of our time, and I certainly appreciate everyone being here with us tonight, spending some of your busy Wednesday talking green politics, hearing some of the candidates that are running across the country in some of these really important races. And Harry, actually, you brought up a really great point about this 2% or 5% is, if you're on social media, you may have heard that. Those percentage thresholds make big differences to all third-party candidates and third parties in general. It's the sort of stuff that means that the third party in question, we're talking Greens here, don't have to spend the next election cycle going through ballot access again. We've already got it. So we can actually put our time and effort into running candidates more publicly. We can put more money into their funding and bringing them to your attention instead of doing the same thing every election cycle. It's very challenging. I wish more people really understood that and could see in their in their hearts the real challenge that presents, and then get motivated to do something about it in a real way. Right now, there's close to 70% of Americans want a third party. They want to be able to vote for somebody else, yet they feel scared to do it. They don't know about third parties who represent them. Many times, like Green Party candidates are completely shut out of media exposure altogether. They don't even know we exist. And if they do, it's something that isn't accurate about us. It's a challenging time to be a Green politician. I know that I'm speaking a little bit off the cuff here for several people, and I'm really pleased to have worked with so many Greens over the years to advance a leftist ideology. And I had no idea, none of us could have known that what was coming for this election cycle, but the moral imperative to vote against a genocide, to have electoral consequences for supporting it, is right there. It's there. We cannot ignore it. This isn't to say that we're happy about the consequences of what this is going to be in lots of ways. I want us to win. I want Green Party to win every single time, but I'm also quite aware that for us to win everywhere and to advance our policies, we need to win at the local elections. And so it's great to vote for the president. It's great to vote for Jill Stein and Dr. Ware, but find Greens in your local races. We're running in every state. We're running at every level. Mayor, whatever. What is this district? Vocational district? I'm not even sure what office that is. But we're running at every level. State Senate, state Congress, school board, water collector, every possible place that you can run. we are running. And those elections are the ones where your vote matters the most. I know you might think, well, the national vote's going to be 25 million people voting. What does my one vote matter? So many local elections are decided by 10 or 20 votes. Your vote does matter. These local elections impact your day-to-day life far more than you might think. So if you want to have a real change, if you want to see a real future that's different than the bleak blood and gore future that the parties of war and Wall Street offer us, the Green Party and Green candidates are a way forward and the future. Harry, actually, wrap us up. Give us some nice, motivating green stuff to close this out with.
Well, that was very well put, Margaret. You already mentioned exhorting Green candidates to run for offices that have no other candidates, unopposed, uncontested elections, or even if there's only one other candidate. So for the next cycle, get out there and look. I just happened upon this vacant seat in Williams by chance. And so applied, interviewed, and was appointed. And now I'll have another 4 years with this. It's called deemed elected, since all 9 of us were unopposed, were not even on the ballot. Just get out there and look for those opportunities.
Indeed. And no one should ever feel like they're not qualified to do it. Look, a failed TV show host became president of the United States. You're never going to be worse than that. The bar is low. I mean, I don't know what to say. But really, it's a government of us, by us. And so, we need regular people in these offices. Moneyed interests don't serve us, which is why, of course, the Green Party has always been an anti-corporate party and very explicitly anti-capitalist. I know every Green I talk to understands very completely that the dual cores of imperialism and capitalism are what's driving the crisis that we're facing, the climate crisis, the endless wars, the horrifying inequality in our society. These things have root causes. They can be overcome, and they can be overcome by the policies the Green Party espouses, especially ecological socialism. To sort of paraphrase a very famous saying here, if your ecological efforts lack socialism, then all you're doing is gardening. You really need to understand what's going on. Right? Our planet isn't dying, it is being killed. And the people who are killing it have names and addresses. We can go to them and tell them to stop.
Thank you, Margaret.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight with our show, and thank you for spending, again, some time with us. I want to shout out one more time our fantastic coordinated campaign committee, who has put together another fantastic GreenStream and found some fantastic candidates to talk to and about. gp.org/run if you're interested in running as a Green in the next election cycle, or even in the next presidential election cycle. Check us out there. You can also find other candidates who are currently running right now. Also, gp.org/donate if you'd like to donate some money to help us continue our grassroots efforts in our anti-war electoral policies. I want to encourage you all. I know it's going to be a very difficult time coming up in this election. And if you are a leftist, if you are concerned about what's coming, or if you have a moral conscience, then we're all looking at something very, very difficult. And we have to be strong at solidarity and community building, which will get us through this. Thank you all very much.
Alhamdulillah.